the Androscoggin River Valley, the people, the places, the events, the history, all that makes up the vibrant story of the towns of the Androscoggin River Valley from Lewiston, Auburn through Mexico, Rumford, and Bethel to New Hampshire.
Hello and welcome to the April 2018 edition of Today River Valley. Today River Valley is the video news feature program for the towns of the Androscoggin Valley in western Maine. My name is Phil Blampede. I'm the host and producer of the program. In this edition, we're going to be looking at the phenomenon of flooding on the Androscoggin River. The river floods nearly every spring. Sometimes the floods are minor, sometimes they're downright catastrophic. We're going to be looking at the history of flooding, including at some of the greatest floods that have occurred, and we're also going to be looking at what state and local officials are doing to try to reduce the risk to people who live along the river's banks. Now, it's possible that events may overtake this story. If there's a great flood this year, this story may look a little bit out of date. Even if that does happen, take this story as good background on what's happened in the Androscoggin River Valley in the past, and as information on what has been done and what can be done to reduce the risk to the residents of the River Valley. All that after messages from local businesses.
Today River Valley is sponsored by the Sudbury Inn, lodging, fine dining, and a lively pub right on Main Street in Bethel, Maine.
The Sudbury Inn. Now's the time for a getaway to a charming village like Bethel, Maine, and a stay in the historic Sudbury Inn, right in the heart of the village of Bethel, where the table is set and waiting for you, and the bed is quilted and pillowed and beckoning you for a good night's sleep in the country air. Whether you come for quiet walks through the early spring landscape of the western Maine mountains, or for the lively Maine Brewfest and Spring Festival at Sunday River, the Sudbury Inn will welcome you back at the end of the day with fine dining in its main dining room, or pub fare and live music in its popular Sud's Pub downstairs. It may be located in a small village, but the Sudbury Inn strives to offer world-class cuisine. The menu changes with the seasons, yet always offers popular classics. And yes, the inn is affordable. Guests are surprised to find out how reasonable room rates are, even though a generous kitchen-cooked full breakfast is included, and off-season rates begin at the end of April. Besides individual rooms, the inn also offers rustic, apartment-sized, pet-friendly suites for families or large groups. Make this month a memorable one with a stay at the Sudbury Inn, which, as the magazine Bon Appetit put it, is a perfect way to end a day in Bethel.
Coulthard's believes there's no better way to get the hard winter behind you than to get your pool open early or install one if you don't have one already. Coulthard's carries the Garden Leisure brand of above-ground pools and Pacific in-ground pools, and is making appointments now to open your existing pool or install a new one. And from April 30th to May 19th, look for our annual pool chemical sale. 20% off on the chemicals you need to keep your pool clean and fresh, from chlorine to algicides to stabilizers and earth salt and sand for your filter, with brand names like Easy Chlor, Leisure Time Chemicals, and Sustain. The sale will include pool toys and games as well. Of course, the perfect complement to that pool is your own sauna. Coulthard's carries TheraSaunas, an American-made brand with soothing infrared heat. There's nothing like a sauna for improving skin tone, reducing cellulite, and just plain relaxing. Coulthard's, 33 years in business on the River Road in Mexico, Maine. Call 364-POOL and visit the showroom soon. Spring is here, so let's get to work. At Puya Lumber, you'll find the tools and supplies you need to clean up and patch and fix and repair all of last winter's wear and tear. If the roof needs attention, check out Puya's full stock of IKO roofing. Why not enjoy the nicer weather with a deck with Puya's deck packages hammer ready? And if you still have a few weeks of heating left but don't want a large order, you can always buy pellets by the bag at Puya's. Puya Lumber, 369 River Road, Route 2, Mexico, Maine, 364-9999. The place is called Northern Lights Hearth and Sports, and it's right on the main road at 639 Wilton Road. That's Route 2 in Farmington. Let's take a look at the sports part of Northern Lights Hearth and Sports. And this season, it's a selection of bicycles and accessories, everything from road bikes to mountain bikes to fat tire bikes for mud and, sooner or later, snow. Come in and try one of our demonstration models. And to help you get your bike to distant trails, Northern Lights offers the Thule system of bike racks for your car, the quality leader in racks and accessories. Northern Lights, open Monday through Saturday. Year after year, residents of the River Valley have been able to count on Murphy's Accounting Services for tax preparation and accounting services. In business for over 30 years, Murphy's is ready to help with your return. Well, April is here, and if you're a little late this year, we can easily file for an extension for you. William and Deborah invite you to call for an appointment or use our easy drop-off service at Crescent Avenue, just off Route 2 in Rumford. Open Monday to Friday, 9 to 8, Saturday until 4.
Hi, this is Glenn Gordon at Good Karma Cafe and Health Foods at 72 Congress Street in Rumford, Maine. And you're watching Today River Valley, the video news feature program of towns in the Androscoggin Valley in western Maine.
Back in 1987, I was the town manager of Rumford during the big flood of '87, and you couldn't get in or out. I mean, we were pretty much stuck at all the low areas. You know, several places on South Rumford Road were underwater. Right near where I live on Wyman Hill, where the South Rumford Road crosses what we call the Logan, there was at least 2 feet of water over the top of the guardrail coming down the Logan.
It was 8 days of being here in the Emergency Operations Center, night and day, 24 hours a day. We had extensive, like I said, we almost $1 million worth of damages. We had people coming into the EOC at all hours of the day and night once they were able to get back to their property.
And my father took both myself and my brother out, and we actually walked the highways that were closed. But those same highways that we walked were actually flooded at the time. So to know even now that that I drive every day on those flooded highways back in 1983 really, to me, brings home the requirement to know that that's a possibility, as well as to prepare for that potential possibility.
You can't stop the mighty Androscoggin River. The river has a mind of its own, and it's going to do what it wants to do.
For most of the year, the Androscoggin River in western Maine is a good neighbor to most of the people who live near its banks. But sometimes, come late March and early April, that changes.
Well, the characteristics of the Androscoggin Valley that make it prone to flooding are also the development around Lewiston and Auburn, and that higher development. That's in the western mountain region of Maine, so it does drain the Appalachian area of Oxford and Franklin County, which sends a lot of potential snowpack down into the valley around that development.
For more than 2 centuries, people living near the Androscoggin River have had to get out of the way many times as the river overflowed its banks in the spring. In the town of Bethel, Maine, people still remember a flood in 1785, which came as an unhappy surprise to the settlers who had moved next to the river to take advantage of the fertile soil near its banks.
There were no Indians here when the whites arrived, but they had been agricultural, and they had cleared the land near the river. And when the white settlers arrived, they had all this nice land cleared, and they decided, well, let's put our farms there. Well, they found out in 1785 that it was not a good idea because we had a tremendous flood, and it took away all the houses that were on that low land, including my ancestors, Benjamin Russell.
You built your farm on the riverbanks. It was an easy access to water. You built your home on the riverbanks. It was an easy access to water for recreational activities when the river was clean many, many years ago. And it was it served as a source of recreation. It served as a source of fishing for many families. And the Androscoggin River is very scenic, so it also serves as a source of just pure serenity for someone who wants to just relax on the banks of the Androscoggin River.
What might be called a fatal attraction to settle as close as possible to the banks of the Androscoggin River cost the residents of western Maine heavily as historic floods struck the area. What was probably the worst hit the area in 1936, followed by a close second in the flood of 1987. The flood of 1936 flooded many streets and buildings in Rumford, Mexico, Lewiston, Auburn, and other towns. A brass marker placed by the U.S. Geological Survey on a building at the corner of Free Street and Prospect Avenue in Rumford shows the high water mark of the 1936 flood at nearly 8 feet up the building wall. An historic photo shows what the site looked like as the waters were receding.
After 36, they did a WPA project right at where the water comes over the falls, and they built a wall, and you can still see 1938 stamped right into the side of this big granite wall, and of course we didn't know it was going to be high enough, but it was. So the water stayed off of the island. But it was a good precaution because of the history.
There aren't many people still around who remember the 1936 Androscoggin River flood, but memories of the 1987 deluge are still fresh in the minds of many.
Went home, was ready to get into bed about 11 o'clock that night, and the fire chief, Eugene Bovin, called me up, and he said to me, "You better get down here to the fire station." So I went down, and he had been, of course he lived here his entire life, so he had an idea of what was coming. There's another rock behind the fire station on part of the Androscoggin that Gene knew about, and he swore by a certain level on that rock meant that we were in trouble, and that's from his entire life living here. So the water had certainly reached that level on that rock. We drove around, we went up to the hydro plant up at the top of the falls where they have a big power station, and they record volumes of water coming through the dam. And so we went up there and looked at the volumes that were coming and the record that they had for the previous 24 or 30 hours. And you could see how the volume was growing and growing and growing, and it was still raining, and it amounted to about 4 days of rain that melted the entire snowpack from that winter. 2 o'clock in the morning, the selectmen came in, called a special emergency selectmen's meeting. Once they saw the data we had accumulated, they immediately declared an emergency, which allowed us to call in all the town employees. We started phone calling and knocking on doors, all the low-lying areas that we knew would be impacted by a 100-year flood. There were a few car dealers that we knew were in the low areas, and they were able to come in early, move all their vehicles out of their lots, get them all to higher ground. A lot of businesses were able to be warned. And the water continued to rise, and we knew it was going to rise. We were fortunate. We had about a 12-hour window to be able to do this, and we ended up saving an awful lot of property.
In Lewiston and Auburn, parts of the business districts were underwater.
In the flood of '87, at the height of the water, we were at 23.65 feet. Water was just above the first floor window behind Roque Block building. So anybody who left their vehicles there, the vehicles would have been flooded. Anything in the basements of those buildings was definitely submerged in water. If we're looking just in the city of Lewiston, crossing from Lewiston into Auburn at the Longley Bridge, the clearance under the bridge was less than 1 foot at the height of the flood. The railroad trestle that you can see from the Longley Bridge as you look up over the Great Falls rocks, the water was just inches under the trestle. If you were going into New Auburn, Laurel Avenue, Newberry Street, that whole area, we had water just to about halfway up the first floor windows in that area.
After centuries of flooding, the question might be asked whether anything has been learned about how to reduce the danger the waters of the Androscoggin can pose. In our next segment, we'll look at the efforts locally and at the state level to cope with the spring flooding season. Meanwhile, at the Verizon Wireless Zone in Mexico, Maine,
Bill, did you know that you can find just about anything that you need in a smartphone nowadays? You know, I really have everything I need here in this bag.
We'll see about that. Oh. You're not going to need this if you have a new smartphone on America's Best network. And a calculator? You're most definitely not going to need this. A calendar? Your new smartphone will have a calendar already built into the phone that not only helps you with appointments, but also sets reminders.
Now I suppose you're going to tell me that this smartphone will show me where to get a hamburger? Huh?
As a matter of fact, yes it will.
Remember, at the Verizon Wireless Store in Mexico, we're always striving to be your cell phone provider of choice.
For new construction or renovations, or to tighten up that basement, there are few better investments than foam insulation. And in Western Maine, it's Dixfield Foam Insulation. Foam insulation is the best insulation on the market. It does not sag or settle like other insulation, and it maintains its R value for decades. That means that in the long run, the savings on heating and cooling costs will far exceed the cost of installing it in the first place. With foam insulation, there's no air leakage. It creates its own vapor barrier, and it's resistant to moisture. The rigidity of the product even serves to add to the structural integrity of the framing of the building. Foam insulation is ideal for new construction or renovations where the studs are going to be exposed, but it's also great for tightening up basements in any building. Have a difficult to seal rock wall foundation or a leaky, drafty basement? Seal it with foam insulation and keep air and water out. Dixfield Foam Insulation offers free, no obligation estimates.
I'm Tim with Dixfield Foam Insulation. Give us a call, we'll give you a free estimate.
Call 207-418-9394 or 207-441-3630 for a no-obligation consultation. And check our Facebook page for more information. At Dan's Automotive, you'll find reliable used cars in the $3,000 to $8,000 range. You'll get more car for less money. Here's a great example of what's available at Dan's. Warning, this will probably be sold by the time you see this ad, but if you get lucky, you may still have a chance at this 2007 Ford Escape with automatic transmission, four-wheel drive, and a V6. It's loaded and has no rust. Offered at $5,495.
We bought our car at Dan's, and we're glad we did.
Dan's Automotive Repair and Sales, Crescent Avenue, Rumford. Sportoma is Western Maine's outdoor retail specialist. If you're skiing the Western Mountains this winter, Sportoma on Route 2, Mayville Road in Bethel should be your first stop for quality ski tuning, custom ski boot fitting, and all the equipment and accessories you'll need. And ask about our gift certificate special. Get 10% off by mentioning this ad. That's right, pay $9 and get a $10 gift certificate. Just mention this ad. Sportoma, open 7 days. Washing machines are offering more and more features each year. Well, you may not find anything quite like this yet at Larson's Electric Service in Mexico, but you'll find the latest in everything from washing machines to refrigerators to stoves. With the Amana, Whirlpool, KitchenAid, and Maytag brands, Larson's offers free delivery and setup of your new appliance plus removal of your old appliance. Now celebrating over 60 years in business, Larson's, 13 Main Street, Mexico, Maine.
This is Today River Valley, the video news feature program for the towns of the upper Androscoggin River Valley in the mountains of western Maine.
In the last segment, we looked at the way the Androscoggin River in western Maine floods in the spring. After more than 2 centuries of experience, residents know to expect a major flood every decade and a catastrophic flood once or twice every century. Residents have learned at least one thing about coping with the high water, that being aware and being prepared are the first steps. Every year, to do that not only for the Androscoggin but all the rivers in the state, the Maine Emergency Management Agency brings together experts for a River Flow Advisory Commission meeting where they discuss what conditions the rivers are in and assess what might need to be done. This year's meeting took place in Augusta, March 16th, and was chaired by Maine Emergency Management Agency Director Suzanne Krause.
One of the things that the Maine Emergency Management Agency partakes in is co-chairing the River Flow Advisory Commission. And the commission was established in practice back in 1983 after the spring floods in an effort to really educate the public as well as local and county emergency managers as to what the hazards of the current flood season may bring.
There are 4 things that usually cause a river flood: heavy rain, a deep snowpack, deep frost, and ice jams. The speakers at the River Flow Advisory Commission this year looked at all these factors and concluded that while there were no immediate flood threats, the risk remained high due to the big snowstorms in March and the big late-season snowpack those storms have created.
So the flood potential is slightly elevated, and that's because we essentially pushed our winter. As we know, it's a long winter, and that the longer we push it into spring, that means it has a higher potential to melt quickly as we get a warmer rainfall event or a warmer weather event, such as longer sunny days.
By the river itself, the job of preparing for and coping with Androscoggin flooding falls to the Oxford and Androscoggin County Emergency Management Agencies. These agencies do everything from warning that a flood is coming to coordinating evacuations once the flooding occurs. At the Androscoggin County Emergency Management Agency, Director Joanne Potvin keeps a daily record of the river level and warns residents and businesses if there's a dangerous rise.
We begin to keep tabs on how high the river is getting, and that way that gives us an indication of any rise that we would happen to see on the river. As you can see, our last reading was taken this morning at 8:15, and the river is running at 9,110 CFS. Certainly a lot lower than what it was in the flood of '87, when we were well over 100,000 CFS, and we're only running at 5.5 feet. In the flood of '87, we crested at 23.65 feet. Beginning next week, the state of Maine will begin to give us the snow advisory reports, so we're going to be able to keep track of how fast the snow is melting in the upper reaches of the Androscoggin River. And remember, it's not the rain or the snow melt that happens here, it's the rain and snow melt that happens in the upper reaches of the Androscoggin River that cause the flood problems here. So we're going to begin to keep tabs on the snow forecast as well as what we're seeing here for water levels. And we get to a point where National Weather Service issues a flood warning. A flood warning for Androscoggin River causes no problems. Flood warning is issued when the river's going to go to 13 feet. At 13 feet, we have no problems, and we don't begin to have any flooding situations in the Androscoggin County until we get to between 17 and 18 feet. Then at 17 and 18 feet, we know where the water is going to be against certain buildings, and then that for us is the guidelines for issuing evacuation orders.
One strategy for reducing the damage a flood can cause is to remove buildings in areas that are known to be covered with water when the Androscoggin floods. This was done successfully in Canton, Maine after a serious flood in 2003. Grants secured by Canton resident Diane Ray provided money to buy several buildings and tear them down. The official hazard mitigation plan of the Oxford County Emergency Management Agency aims next at a neighborhood in Mexico, Maine, with a goal of removing 80 buildings that are in a flood-prone area right next to the Androscoggin. But, according to Thomas Redstone of the Maine Emergency Management Agency, funds for that kind of thing these days are now harder to find.
So we do have several grant opportunities. Pre-disaster mitigation is available to use FEMA dollars to acquire and demolish structures. However, the general trend is that it's becoming more and more competitive to acquire and to obtain that money.
The strategies that have been used to respond to flooding on the Androscoggin don't solve the problem entirely, but they have contributed to the fact that there has yet to be a flood-caused fatality. But in the end, there's just so much that people can do. The best prevention remains the right weather conditions at the right time.
So what we're looking for is the ideal situation for preventing a flood is that we have warm days, nice breezy weather, so it helps to dry the snowpack, no rain, fog at night, and then the temperature drops just below freezing to slow down the quell of the water.
The Jolly Drayman Pub and the Briarley Inn, a gracious inn in Bethel, Maine with an authentic British pub featuring classic pub fare.
This is Helena at the Jolly Drayman Briarley Inn. Stop by, come to see us. Looking forward to your visit.
After dinner, indulge yourself with a stay in one of the comfortable rooms upstairs in the Briarley Inn, featuring cuddly blankets, down feather pillows, soft linens, fluffy towels, and casual rustic decor. The Jolly Drayman, the authentic British pub in Bethel, Maine, located in the Briarley Inn.
There is a remarkable one-of-a-kind store these days in Bryant Pond, Maine, selling one-of-a-kind items. Goddess Robes is a showroom of exquisite, custom-tailored and designed robes made of silks, satins, washable silks, brocades, and cottons. Goddess Robes are designed for formal occasions or personal relaxation and make getting dressed for even the most elegant occasions a matter of only slipping an elegant robe over your shoulders. Created for the women who know who they are, what they want, and make no apology for either. Goddess Robes on Route 26 in Bryant Pond.
You're watching Today River Valley, the video news feature program for the Androscoggin River Valley in western Maine.
Good Karma Cafe and Health Food is becoming the place to go for lunch in Rumford, and everyone has their favorite from the menu.
Hi, my name is Cindy. I'm the baker here at Good Karma, and my favorite sandwich is the chicken salad BLT. The chicken salad BLT is our own all-white meat chicken salad made here at Good Karma on a bed of spring mix with tomato and bacon, and sometimes I put a little avocado on there if I do an add avocado.
Good Karma Cafe and Health Foods, open Monday through Saturday.
And I usually have mine on a spinach wrap.
Mountain Valley Variety knows you have friends who are downright picky about their beer.
Hey Bill, you want a beer?
Sure.
How about this?
Are you kidding?
We have the answer for your picky friends, the largest beer cave in the area.
Hi, I'm Rick from Mountain Valley Variety in Rumford. I want to welcome you to my brand new beer cave. Whatever you want, we either have or we can get.
All right, how about this?
Hey, now you're talking.
Mountain Valley Variety, we've got the picky friend thing covered.
Come on down to Mountain Valley Variety and see us all.
At the top of Falls Hill in Rumford, look for the newest repair place in town, E&B Auto and Bike Repair in the former Jake's Garage. With easy access off Route 2 on Prospect Avenue, E&B specializes in custom exhaust and engine rebuilds, in addition to all the other maintenance and repair and parts your car, truck, or motorcycle might need. Featuring Napa parts, E&B has batteries for everything from your car to your snowmobile. With friendly service and reasonable prices, E&B is offering an additional 10% off to any customer who mentions this ad. Remember, mention this ad. E&B Auto and Bike Repair, open Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m., but closed from noon to 1 for lunch. For nearly 7 decades, the residents of western Maine have turned to Goodwin Well and Water, Maine's leader in water well drilling, pump installation, water treatment systems, and geothermal. When you choose Goodwin Well and Water, you choose a powerful combination of engineering minds, excellent workmanship, and exceptional customer service. Remember last year, don't get caught dry again. Call Goodwin Well and Water for a free consultation today.
Excuse me, sir, are you getting a little shaggy around the ears but can't find time for a haircut? Well, now you can. At Lisa's Barbershop at 178 Main Street in Mexico, owner Lisa Shardlow specializes in quick haircuts. No appointment is necessary and there's rarely a wait. At Lisa's, the motto is cut and go.
If one of your reasons for not getting your hair cut is that you can't afford the whole $11 it costs here at Lisa's, don't forget that generous tax return you're getting this month. As the saying goes, first you get the tax cut, then you get the haircut.
Lisa's, open Tuesday through Friday, 9 to 5, Saturday, 9 to noon.
Unless, of course, you've already pulled it all out, trying to figure out how to fill in those tax forms.
Scott's Recreation is a Maine RV and camper dealership with locations in Turner and Manchester, Maine. Our showroom is stocked with the newest Alpine, Big Country, Elk Ridge, Mission Trailers, and Snow Pro Trailers models. Each camper dealership has a full sales, service, and parts department with friendly and experienced staff. Visit or call us Monday through Saturday for all your RV needs. Come take advantage of our preseason deals this month and be ready to go camping once the weather breaks.
Today River Valley is sponsored by the Sudbury Inn, lodging, fine dining, and a lively pub right on Main Street in Bethel, Maine.
Well, that's it for the April edition of Today River Valley. This is Phil Blampy, the host and producer of the program. Remember, you can always find this edition and previous programs at the website todayrivervalley.com. Let me just say, I really do hope the river didn't flood you this month. Keep dry. See you in May.